Welcome to the InSession Film Podcast for June 23rd, 2013. This is episode 18, and I'm JD Duran.
And I'm Nate Parsons.
So Nate, how would you plan on surviving the zombie apocalypse?
By not being around when the zombie apocalypse happens.
I'm scared.
Connie, there's a helicopter waiting for us on the roof. Keep your eyes on Mommy and Daddy, okay?
How do we know they're coming?
They're coming.
That's our target! Get us down! Let's go! Come on, let's go!
Well, Nate, this week we are going to be reviewing World War Z, and we're also going to be talking about our top 3 animated movie characters, since we also got to see Monsters University, which you want to stick around for, because we're going to do an extra film segment on Monsters University and also E.T., which we got to see, which will be fun. And then we're going to be moving on to our Before series. We're finally going to get to finish that with Before Midnight. But Nate, and then we'll top off the show with some movies we've seen this week and a couple awesome news items. But before we get started, Nate, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. I was in the theater a lot.
Once again, yes. I feel like that's been the case for us the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We've been there quite a few different times. Yeah. But it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. All right, Nate, well, let's get into it. World War Z, directed by Mark Foster, and stars Brad Pitt, Marielle Enos, and a whole bunch of really other people that you most likely won't know. So Nate, what did you think of World War Z?
World War Z was pretty freaking awesome. It was a lot better than I was expecting. I read the book it's based off of, and this movie's completely different than that book. I really enjoyed the book, and I obviously really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, it's very, very intense, particularly the final sequence of the film, of the movie, which we won't really get into. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Brad Pitt is great, and it just kind of brings a different approach to the zombie movie genre, which was nice.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I absolutely love this movie as well. And it was kind of funny because I got a text from you as I was in the middle of watching it, and you're just like, this movie's freaking awesome, which I thought was pretty cool. And yeah, and I was enjoying myself as I got that text. And you're right, this is a really great movie. Mark Foster does a really great job. I love how he brings the storytelling together along with the action. Like you said, it was very intense. He also gets good performances out of his actors here. I thought the pacing of this movie was a little quick, but it's the way that he edits his scenes and the way he pieces it together. And because the story moves fluidly, it makes sense. So even though the pacing is pretty quick, I mean, really, you have the opening scene with Brad Pitt's character and his family is, they're kind of hanging out doing their breakfast thing, and then they get in their car to leave for the day, and then we're right into it. So it's really quick, but the way that it's pieced together, it all makes sense. It all kind of comes together really quickly, and they really get into what's going here and how they put little glimpses of things here and there. You're able to figure out what's going on at the same time. So it's not like it's moving too fast to the point where you're like, what in the heck is going on here? It's moving quickly, but you're also understanding everything that's going on, and you're seeing everything from Brad Pitt's character really well. There's moments where the camera kind of stops and slows down a little bit, and you kind of get a glimpse of what Brad Pitt's character is seeing, what he's thinking, what he's trying to get in. And as someone who he formerly worked for the UN, was an investigator for the UN, and he's using those skills in this moment to help get his family out of this crazy situation. And in the way it's pieced together, just kind of brings that intense, thrilling moments that you would expect from a film like this, as you were saying. And you're right. If you're a fan of the book, I also read the book as well, and it's very different. The only thing that the book and this film really shares is the title. It's very different, but I love what he does here with everything, and the story just comes together really well for me, Nate.
Yeah, and speaking of the book, I think there's a few more similarities than just the title. Like for one, they both span the entire globe.
That's true. Yeah,
which was nice. And then I also think that in the book, the author's kind of the central character as he's going around and interviewing all these different people and trying to find out kind of what happened after the war's over. Yeah. While Brad Pitt's kind of the author character in the movie, as he's kind of going around and trying to find out what's going on while the war is going on.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it is pretty neat because he is kind of going from place to place in the world, and you don't get quite as many of them as you do in the book, but it's enough, though, that you get a sense of what's going on, and they wouldn't be able to fit all of that into a 2-hour movie anyway, but they do it really neat. And my favorite part of this whole thing, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, is the third act of this film. It's very thrilling. It's very intense. It's not so much action, but what it is the story kind of comes together in a very unique way for a zombie apocalypse type movie, where they take a unique spin on the story and how to solve it, and the resolution is very intriguing here, and it's very engaging, and it's something that you don't really see very often in this genre, as you were talking about. And that, to me, was really amazing, and that was so engaging to me, on top of everything else that was already engaging for me, including the characters, which I loved. But the way they pieced that story together was so amazing. It was pretty awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, during that final sequence in our theater, there were a lot of gasps and people, moving on the edge of their seats and stuff. And there was even this old lady right next to us, probably in her 70s or 80s, who at one point during that sequence cursed out loud, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. My theater wasn't quite as full, but it definitely had those moments, and yeah, it was really interesting. It was really great. That might be something we have to do for our bonus content this week, is go into that a little bit. It was really fantastic. Well, what did you think of the performances in this movie? I really liked Brad Pitt, but outside of that, I would expect Brad Pitt to be good. He kind of reminded me of his character in Spy Game a little bit, where it's a little bit more intense here, as the situation is obviously very different. But what I really liked about this movie also is there's lots of supporting characters that come in and out of the film because different things happen to them, or the situation is obviously focused on Brad Pitt, so they don't get as much screen time. But the supporting cast in this film is amazing. Some of them are just in 2 or 3 scenes, but they do such a fantastic job. So when I didn't get to see them as much, I was a little bit upset or disappointed because I was interested in their characters, but it didn't really take away from the film because the film wasn't about them. It was about Brad Pitt's character and what he was doing. But the supporting cast was amazing in this film.
Yeah, I really liked David Morse. he's a character actor, been in lots of things. If you see him, you'll know who I'm talking about, but you might not know just by name. But he kind of plays this kind of CIA guy.
Yeah.
Or used to be a CIA guy.
Yeah, he was like an ex-CIA agent.
And he's not.
For the entire version of our podcast, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher, or check us out online at InSessionFilm.com.